Hello, everyone. Welcome to Mondays with Mooch. Welcome to our weekly soiree. Hopefully, everybody can hear us. And we're having such fun doing these Monday evening things, and I'm so glad that you have joined us. For those of you who may not know, my name is Joe Muccioli. I am the artistic director for the Jazz Arts Project, a nonprofit organization who's been presenting and honoring jazz for over 15 years. We present usually we present world-class concerts and high-level education programs. I'd like to thank very specifically Ocean First Bank for their support during this year. They are our presenting partner for these events and for all the events throughout the year. So I'm very grateful for that, and I'm also grateful for the wonderful donors who have had it in their hearts to help us, especially during these times, but to help our organization continue on and present programs like these free of charge, as it were. I'm going to introduce our guest in a minute, but here's a little promo clip to check out first. Yes, you saw that right. Well, the rest of us were trying to figure out how to get a haircut and which lounge chair would get our afternoon visit. Dave Styker had a new album released. He's been teaching. He writes blogs. He's writing guitar method books. Busy guy. You know, I try to keep in touch with a lot of my friends and artists who we've hosted. And to tell you the truth, most of them are like, yeah, call anytime. I got nothing else going on. Not entirely true, but close to that. But when I asked Dave to schedule a time to meet on a test Zoom to set levels and settings and things like that, Dave was like, how about Sunday at maybe midnight? I might have some time to squeeze in at that point. I'm exaggerating, but it's not far from the truth. Dave Styker is a quintessential American jazz guitarist. The Village Voice calls him one of the most distinctive guitarists to come along in recent years. He has repeatedly voted to the Downbeat Readers and Critics poll 10 times so far. He was a featured sideman with Jack McDuff and then Stanley Torrentine. He has played with the likes of trumpeters Dizzy Gillespie and Freddie Hubbard, vocalist Kevin Mahogany, saxophonist Javon Jackson, and pianist Elaine Elias, among many, many others. To date, he has produced 30 CDs as a leader and has appeared on countless others as a sideman or guest. Before this one with Bob Mintzer, he had a series he called 8-Track, 8-Track 2, 8-Track 3, and Christmas 8-Track. Remember 8-Tracks? There's a story there, I'm sure. Dave is also a dedicated educator. He serves as adjunct professor of jazz guitar at Jacobs School of Music at Indiana University and at the John J. Calley School of Music at Montclair State University and now at Rutgers University Mason Gross School of the Arts. He's a blogger and has published his own jazz guitar improvisation method books. Hailing from Omaha, Nebraska, in this corner, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome jazz guitar heavyweight Dave Styker.
All right. Hey, Joe. What's up, man? Hello, everybody.
How you doing, Dave? Good to see you.
Good. All right. There I am.
People are still coming in. That's cool.
I had a few that wanted to get on the guest list, but
not a problem. Around here, it's all guests, and it's all free.
remember guest list? Yeah.
Yeah, about that.
All right.
You had to struggle to get more names added, right? Well, it's definitely a pleasure to have you here, especially, we have what's called the Jazz Arts Academy, and we it's a year-round training program, and we have instructors that I'm sure you play with, and you're friends with Bruce Williams, Brandon McCune.
Never heard of him.
I know. Rodham Schwartz.
Never heard of him.
Never heard of him. And in these programs, we happen at this moment, this past year, we happen to have two guitarists. One of them is heading your way at Rutgers. His name is Joe Rinaldi. I want to just come on, Joe. Unmute yourself and meet Dave Styker if you haven't yet already.
Hey, how's it going?
Hey, Joe. How you doing, my friend?
Pretty good.
All right. Good to see you in Small World, huh?
Yeah.
Tell him what to practice quick before he gets into class.
He knows.
He knows. There you go. We also up and coming, not quite yet graduating, is Alexander Rausch, who's also in our come on, Alexander, unmute yourself.
Hello.
Say hello.
Hi.
All right. How you doing?
Good. How are you?
Good, Alexander. Good to meet you.
Okay.
Okay, I see you.
Practice, guys. I'm sure that's what he's going to tell you. All right. So there you go with that. And you have a couple, three now college positions?
Yes, I've been teaching at Montclair State for several years, and also out in Indiana University.
Mm-hmm.
In Bloomington.
Hell of a commute.
Yeah, I was flying out there every other week for Tuesday through Thursday. So I've been the guitar guy there at Indiana now. This would have been my 8th year. It is my 8th year. And also I just started at Rutgers. I've been there a year now, and so looking forward to continuing at all these places as we try to negotiate the situation we're in, and we're going to do the best we can with doing Zoom lessons for the time being until we can get back face to face.
I suppose that helps a little bit with the Indiana position.
Yeah, I'm not going to get on a plane right at the moment.
Exactly.
So, but it's Zoom lessons are fine. We cover a lot of stuff. And, learning is something you have to do on your own, and so I just try to help steer them in the right direction and give them things to work on, and et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, many people do not realize the kind of time and dedication musicians put in. And you're talking about 6 to 8 hours in a practice room, or more in some cases. It's a different kind of commitment.
Yeah, there's no set time, but the more important thing is to be consistent and try to keep working on it, learning music, learning tunes, learning the language, and the lifelong journey. You never get there. No matter how good you get, there's always more to learn. That's what's great.
There's always something new to learn. Certainly.
Yeah.
What do you say we play this live at Jazz Port Townsend to kick it off a little bit? Okay. That was swinging.
No one got hurt. That's the main thing.
No one got hurt.
That was with Justin Coughlin, piano player, and Katie Thoreau, bassist, and that was in Port Townsend a couple years ago. With John Clayton runs the Port Townsend Jazz Workshop every, I think it's July or August. And he invited me to come that summer, and they put that concert together. So we had never played together before, and we just got together and, ran over a couple tunes and went and hit it. It was fun, interesting with no drums, right? Kind of like a Nat King Cole or something. And
yeah, it worked, man. It worked. It was swinging.
And Justin, actually, that's his... It's cool. His seeing eye dog is right there goes everywhere with him, and was right there by the piano. I don't know if you noticed that.
Yeah,
it's cool. I didn't get a lot of response though after my solo. The dog didn't really. I wasn't feeling any response from it, but
yeah, I think
I didn't take it personally.
He's trained very well to ignore it.
Is that my volume any better? I cranked it up a little bit. Anyway.
Yeah, it's fine. Is everybody okay with the volume here?
Yeah, I just saw Bill Shear shake his head yes, so that seems like Dave did make his volume louder. Thank you, Dave.
You got it.
Last week we had Lakeisha Benjamin, and as soon as I mentioned that you'd be on this week, she perked up and said, "Hey, that's my teacher." So you apparently had her in, was it Montclair?
I think maybe at the Litchfield workshop.
Oh, that could.
We might have first met. She's, it's so great when you somebody that you, I wouldn't say I was her teacher, but somebody that you helped along the way becomes a great up and coming player. It's really cool. Really,
you must have had her in an ensemble. I think.
I think so.
Seemed like that's what she was talking about.
Luckily, I didn't mess anything up. She came out right.
You did just fine, I'm sure. So tell me about these. Let's start with the 8-tracks. That's intriguing.
Okay, well, I just happen to have my.
Does everybody remember what an 8-track is? There you go. Look at that.
This is an 8-track. And yeah, I got all my props today. This is an 8-track player.
Yeah. Wow.
And
I used to have one. I used to have a Fiat 850 Spider. Old. It was old when I got it, and I had an 8-track. I put an 8-track deck in it. It was the thing at that time. It must have been early 70s.
Yes, 8-tracks were the first time you could play a tape in your car. Up till then, it was FM radio or AM radio, and so in the 70s, this technology was invented called the 8-track tape, and let's just say it wasn't the greatest technology that ever was invented, but it was okay for a while. The people that remember 8-tracks, will remember sticking their matchbook in there to keep, get it to play, and that it would all of a sudden you'd be listening and it would flip to the next track, on its own. All kinds of fun stuff. But what was cool about that era was a lot of great music, R&B and pop in the 70s. And I was in high school, and I remember having an 8-track in my van with tie-dyed curtains and shag carpeting. So I'll just leave that visual to you.
There you go.
And anyway, I would go out and listen to 8-tracks, and I had 8-tracks, everything from Santana to Miles' Bitches Brew, or In a Silent Way, Pat Martino live. So it was, brings back great memories for me. So what I did is, even from the beginning when I was first learning how to play in Omaha back in the late 30s. No, just kidding. Back in, the 70s or whatever, the local sax player took me under his wing. I was, of course, came up playing rock and roll, and he showed me tunes, and we would learn tunes like, On Green Dolphin Street and Song for My Father, these kind of tunes. And then he would also maybe Feel Like Making Love, or Never Can Say Goodbye, or call me pop tunes that were on the radio. And when he would play gigs, like at the Holiday Inn or whatever, they would always throw in a pop tune. Then later, when I got the gig with Jack McDuff and also with Stanley Turrentine, this was, always part of music for me, was being able to take tunes that people recognized and loved, and maybe they were more in a pop vein, but jazzing them up. So many years later, what I would do on gigs, I would throw in a tune by the Carpenters or something like that. And then I started saying on the microphone, hey, that's going to be on my next record. Dave plays the hits of the 8-track, and people would laugh until people started coming up and saying, hey, when's that 8-track record coming out? I want to buy it. Then a little light bulb went off in my head, and I said, let me go ahead and try this idea of, doing all pop tunes. And see what happens. But let me do it before somebody steals my 8-track idea. And my wife also was, she always, was saying, you got to do this. This would be a great idea. And so I did it. And the first one, and I used my trio with Jared Gold on organ and McClenny Hunter on drums. And then instead of using a saxophonist, which is kind of the typical, instrumentation for a organ group, I decided to try vibes, and I got the great Stefan Harris to play on it. So that gave it also a little different sound. So now we did volume 1, then I did another record, and then we did volume 2, and then I did another project, and then Stefan said we got to finish the trilogy. So the 8-track 3 came out and did great, man. People really seem to like, hearing a tune that they recognize, but where you can improvise over it. So that's always a fun challenge for me, to try to figure out a way to put my stamp on it, or, do it in a way that, it's fun to play over, just like it's fun to play over a standard. So yeah, that's kind of the long story about that.
Yeah, well, that's the history of jazz, right? Playing popular tunes in a jazz fashion.
Well, sure. I mean, if you think about it that way, the tunes that are standards were popular tunes in their day. But I still love to play standards. But this has been a fun project to do.
Sure.
And in fact, the new big band record, we covered a couple of the ones that we had done on the 8-track series, because great Bob Mintzer, who's the conductor of the WDR big band in Cologne, Germany, we've been friends for a while, and he had done some gigs with our trio, and we did some of those tunes, and so he thought that would be a good match to have him arrange some of those tunes, some of my original tunes, one of his tunes, Stanley Turrentine tune, and we went over a year ago March for a week and rehearsed with the WDR Big Band, and this new record that just came out is the result of that.
Yeah, that was what the promo was about that we first played.
Mm-hmm.
So you did an 8-track redux with
we
contemporary.
We did we did a couple tunes. We did Trouble Man and What's Going On by Curtis or by
right.
My mind's gone. Help me out, yeah, Eric. Marvin Gaye, and we did. What else we do? We did a tune by Prince that I arranged called "When Doves Cry," and we did "Wichita Lineman" by Jimmy Webb, by Glenn Campbell. So, and Bob just what he did to, I had arranged them for the 8-track thing, but he expanded them, and what he did to them is amazing.
Yeah, he's a fantastic arranger.
Yeah,
that's for sure.
Sure is.
I just have to think back to the 8-track machine that I had in my Fiat. I had one tape, and it was a trip I decided to take to Atlanta, and my one tape was the Basie Band.
Wow.
And I thought, this is great. This will keep me up because I was driving like through the night. This will keep me up and swinging and cooking. It'd be great. I listened to that thing the whole way down until it got to Little Darlin', which is, if you know, it's the slowest tune ever written.
Right.
Right, Little Darlin', and it just like lulled me to sleep, and I went right off the road, fell asleep. Luckily, I was okay, but it just that what I thought would be keep me cooking, actually put me to sleep with Little Darlin'.
Well, we're glad you made it, Joe. We're glad you're here.
Oh, I appreciate that. Do you want to play some of that Bob Mintzer collaboration? Do we have something there? What would you suggest, Dave?
You want to play the video, or what are you asking me?
That's what I'm saying. You want to play that
video? There's a video of what's
from that album, right?
Yeah. What's going on?
What's going on?
You don't have to play the whole thing if you don't want, but. This was really great to have what Bob did with this.
That's some great stuff. Why can't I hear anything? That's interesting.
Because I was muting myself in case I was making strange sounds while that was going on.
And
yeah, that was what a thrill. First off, the WDR Big Band is that's a full-time big band that's on staff, and the German government charges a small tax that goes to the WDR, and every week they'll have a guest artist, sometime either from the States or somewhere else in the world, or from Germany or Europe. They come in, they rehearse with the band, and then they perform a concert, and it goes out on the airwaves. And so it's just they consider the arts important enough that is what they do. They also have 2 full-time symphony orchestras that do the same thing.
Yep.
And there's about 4 different orchestras or big bands like that in Germany alone, and also in other countries. So quite a bit different than what it's like here.
Yeah, think about that, folks. I mean, the arts are so supported.
And I think what we're talking about is around $8 a year that people pay.
Right.
So I could be wrong on that, but anyway, it's not like a huge sum, but it's a.
In Germany, also, I mean, it's free tuition. In college, it's free tuition, right?
I wouldn't be surprised. I know their healthcare is together too.
In fact, I don't know if it is now currently, but within the past couple of years, it had been their practice that even if you were from another country, if you go there to study, it is still free. So they value education and especially education within the arts.
Yeah, that's we can only hope that maybe we'll follow suit at some point, but we don't want to get into any politics tonight.
I'm with you. Okay.
But that's another Zoom meeting.
Yeah, it is. But I did some guest conducting with like a bunch of places in Europe, but one I'm thinking of is Sweden. There's a Göteborg, the Bohuslän Big Band. Have you done that one?
No, I haven't.
It's a similar kind of thing. That is their gig. It's a full-time big band. They have their own building, and there's a concert series every week.
Same thing at WDR. So
yeah,
it was great. Bob hooked that up for me, and I'm forever grateful. And the last 2 weeks, it's been #1. Blue Soul's the name of the record. It's been #1. So a lot of people thought it was crazy to put out a new record during these times, especially back at the beginning of all this when this was happening. But I figured I'd put out some positive energy out there. We could use some more positive energy in the world, and music certainly has that. And I figured let people hear it, and so it was already in the pipeline, so we put it out, and WBGO has been playing it, and
that's fantastic. I'm gonna bring Carmen Valentine in at this point, and he helped out last week with the co-hosting duties, and he did such a great job that I think we should keep tapping him for those kinds of things. So, and Carmen had a couple of questions I think in the chat line, so you might as well ask yourself.
Hi, Carmen.
Hey, Dave. Good to see you again.
Great to see you.
Thank you for being here.
Thanks for inviting me. Actually, Carmen was the guy that reached out to me originally. So
we got to meet at Mohunk Mountain House. That's where I first got to see you perform and listen to your music, which is great. First, I just have to say you are a '70s guy. Mentioning the Carpenters, that kind of threw me off there for a second, which I loved. That was a great one. I was a big fan of the Carpenters actually growing up. But my question to you is, Joe referred to it earlier, but I was wondering, just a simple question, do you ever feel like you're ever working? I mean, because you're always doing something, it looks like. Your discography, it looks like you produce almost an album a year, if not sometimes 2. You perform constantly. I see you on Facebook performing a lot with your members, and then you're teaching. So I just wondered, do you ever feel like you're ever working, or is this just all like a slice, one big piece of heaven?
Well, That's a good question. I mean, I feel very lucky to have music as something that I not only love to do, but also I make a living doing it. But that's what I've done my whole life. So there certainly is a lot of work to make things happen. You know, you don't, those. It takes a lot of years paying dues and things like that to have opportunities like a chance to play with the WDR big band. So. And it all boils down to you really when it comes to music you have to be on point at all times, and you have to have done the groundwork and the homework so that I mean there's so much competition, especially in this area, in the New York area. There's everywhere, you just have to be great. You have to be as strong and a solid player, and play from your heart and have your own thing. And so but as far as there's a fair amount of work involved, like especially last year teaching at 3 different universities and flying all over the place, flying to gigs, booking gigs. So there's a lot behind the scenes that is more work, and I enjoy teaching, but it is it's work for sure.
Yeah. Do you ever? My last question I'll just ask this: do you ever feel like was there a period where you felt like I mean, because how old were you when you started playing? Like when you started professionally?
I started playing guitar when I was about 10, and then by the time I was 12, I had a little band. I was in 7th grade, and there's 2 other 9th graders, and we started playing gigs. And by the time I was in high school, I was in a band that was playing all the time. And when I got out of high school, I was in a band that played 6 nights a week and 6 weeks at a shot at a Hilton, at the top of the Hilton in Omaha, playing. First 2 sets would be standards, like Girl from Ipanema, these kind of tunes where they would dance, Satin Doll, and the last 2 sets would be top 40. But in the meantime, we would be playing jazz tunes over in my house, so yeah, it was. I've been playing my whole life, and I feel fortunate, man. To have this.
Did you ever have a period of struggle where it was not very easy in terms of as a career? And when did you? And how do you feel now? I mean, a lot of people are struggling now, but do you feel? A lot of people are really concerned about the arts in terms of support and whatnot. And yeah. I'm just assuming, people make a lot of assumptions about the stability of the career for musicians and their livelihood.
Yeah, there's certainly been a lot of, we call it paying dues. I mean, whether it was, when I first moved out of Omaha, I went out to LA and I was playing gigs, but I was also doing working in a retail store. When I came to New York, I did construction. I've done all kinds of jobs, to whatever I had to do to make ends meet. And I was always a player, and I came to teaching later. Basically, I started teaching lessons, and maybe the student would say, "How do you play over this song?" And I would write out a little etude, to give them some ideas. And I'd give them a copy of it, and then I put the other one in a pile, and pretty soon that pile turned into a book, and I put a book out. And that led to teaching at Jamie Ebersold's workshops in the summer, and that led to meeting some of these guys that teach at the colleges, where I was offered the job to teach in the college level. So I didn't start out as Professor Dave, but now I've seemed to have arrived there. But the thing is, for music, you have to really love it, and it has to be the passion for you that you really don't want to do anything else. And otherwise there's other things you should be doing. But it's a beautiful thing to be able to play music. So whether you end up being a musician and that's how you make a living, or you just become somebody who is somebody who likes to play music and can enjoy that and do something else to make music, there's a lot of different ways to go, and maybe different area of the music business you might end up doing it. But we need more jazz lovers, so whether any way that can happen that's why I think what Joe's doing and just introducing people to the music is so important, and because it's a great music. It's the improvisation aspect of it, the blues, the swing. It's very American. I don't know, one of our greatest contributions, I think.
Yeah, Dave. The way we think is, you are passing on an art form, and even those students that you have, if they do not become professional musicians, you're creating an audience. So that's important as well.
Right. And
because when you play an instrument, when you learn how to play an instrument, when you study it, you gain a further appreciation for it when you're listening to it.
And also, if just whether it's music or art or poetry or writing, or whatever you do, if you have a creative outlet in your life is enriched, and it's so I think it's you're using a part of your brain that doesn't get used otherwise when you're doing something creative, and it certainly happens in music. I mean, the improvisation aspect of jazz is so incredible and hard to describe, because you learn the language. That's how I describe it. And then when you get in then you start playing, and you're playing things that you have worked out, but not you're expressing yourselves, and it's never really the same. It's not like a rock band where they have a solo that they play the same way every gig.
Right.
And, but it's but it's not to say that it's all cut. It's all, you're pulling things. Everything is coming from above, but there's an aspect of that's there, and but you do have to learn the language and speak the language.
Speaking of expressing yourself, one of our, in fact, it was Joe Rinaldi, has asked if you would be willing to play something for us.
That's extra, Joe.
I know. Put it on the bill.
You want me to play something?
That'd be great.
I just happen to have my guitar right here.
I had that idea. I had that suspicion.
All right, I'm going to try turning my mic. Well, I'll just leave it. What the hell? If I make any weird noises, that's because this mic is on. Blues and B flat. That ended up with a little Sonny Rollins solid there. Yeah.
That was great. Almost like a live audience, don't you think?
Yeah, this is very cool. It's nice to see everybody out there.
It's so great to actually hear people playing live.
This is my first week. This is my first week. I'm doing a couple gigs outside, socially distanced. I'm going to be at down in New Brunswick at the out in front of the George Street, and it's with my trio with Jared Gold and Byron Landham on drums. George, what is it called? The Tavern on George is the name of the place, and I think they closed the street off. And we're going to wear masks and do it that way. So this will be interesting. I'm looking forward to that. And then on Saturday, I'll be at out here in my gig used to do a lot called Shanghai Jazz. We'll be at Shanghai, same thing, outside. And,
I heard they put out tables and stuff in the parking lot, right?
Yeah. So we're gonna give it a shot and stay socially distanced, but be good to play again. We did one live from my basement a few weeks back that came out pretty nice. People seem to enjoy it. So we're trying to keep the music going until things settle down and become safer. Right.
Well, stay safe, whatever you're doing.
Yeah.
Carmen, I'm sorry, could I indulge you for our little commercial there? Probably about that time.
All right. Well, this has been a great show. The time goes by so fast. Having a great time listening to the music and feeling your passion, Dave.
We have some more to go. Don't worry.
I know, but still,
Okay.
There's a little point here. But I just want to say, Dave said it earlier, we need more jazz lovers, and we're grateful to have you all as jazz lovers with us tonight. As you know, Jazz Arts Project would be typically outside performing this time at Jazz at the Park. We'd also be doing Summer Jazz Cafe. But we are doing the middle school camp. We are teaching students right now online. How's that going, Joe? How are your classes going?
It's really interesting. I can tell you the kids are loving it. The teachers are, we're all challenged because, we're not kids and we don't understand the technology like they do. But technologically, it is very challenging, I got to tell you. And you never know from week to week what's going to happen. So, but we're doing the best we can, and we're hoping that we're preparing them a little bit better for when they finally do go back to school. They'll have that much more under their belt,
Well, that is awesome. And Kiki says classes are going great. I don't know who Kiki is, but thank you, Kiki, for that comment. So in order to keep doing what we're doing, we need your support. So please, you can visit our website, www.jazzartsproject.org/donate, and make a contribution. It's open 24 hours, 7 days a week, so anytime. And also invite your friends and other people to come join us on Mondays. Joe started this project as a way to keep us engaged with the music, and he was a bit nervous and apprehensive about it at first, but every week we've seen the show just get better and better, and we've been having great musicians and guests come and join us. So please continue supporting us. And also, just gotta say, we also have our graduates here, Melissa and Joe, joining us. So Jazz Arts Project is still doing its thing. We need it to continue doing its thing, so please give your support. Thanks a lot.
Thanks so much, Carmen. Dave, you had mentioned you have a gig. Are there any long-term plans or tours or anything that are at least being planned?
Right. Well, right now everything is on hold, just like all of us. I was supposed to be at the Monterey Jazz Festival next month. I was supposed to have a week at Birdland. Everything is either canceled or postponed.
I'm just curious if anybody's thinking about next spring. Are they starting to book for that yet?
Well, I think everybody's just waiting. We have to wait and see what happens, and we look forward to when we can get back to playing music inside. But there's I'm giving it a shot this week. You know, we'll see how it goes. With
let's say where that is again, in case people want to actually
in New Brunswick at
do a drive by.
New Brunswick Tavern on George Thursday night, 7 to 10.
Oh, that's
Shanghai
this Thursday.
Yeah, this Thursday, and Shanghai Jazz this Saturday at in Madison, New Jersey, and both are outside. And both everybody's to separate tables or tents or whatever. Yeah, so right now we're just hanging in there, and the beautiful thing about music is we can keep working on our music, and I've been working on playing solo guitar more. I've been once a week putting up or at least for a while there, I put up like a song a week, of a standard, chord melody kind of thing, and that's a great skill to have. And it's trying times, extraordinary times, but music. Thank God we have music to keep us going, through these kind of times.
Here, absolutely.
Yeah. Should we answer some of these questions that people asked? I see over
here. Yeah, let's. It's hard for me to see them, but okay.
I can see them. I'll read them. Let's see. Okay, Joe Rinaldi. How is it different playing in a small group compared to being featured with a big band like that?
Good question.
Yeah, that is a good question. The thing, yeah, you have to. What's great about the big band is you're playing and improvising, playing melodies, but all of a sudden you're hearing this huge sound behind you, and it's very inspiring. Like when you're taking a solo or something, to all of a sudden hear this amazing color that you're not used to of other humans playing these parts. So it's very cool, but it's in a way it's you have to approach it like a small group, like the same way you would improvise, and you can't get scared or anything about it. You just gotta be strong every time you pick up your instrument and go to play. You got to play like you're in front of 100,000 people, and it's got to be 100% all the time. Let's see.
You brought up something about the big band. I was friends with Kenny Burrell for a while, and the great Kenny Burrell.
Sure.
And for a little short time, they had him fronting the Basie band, and to me, it never worked. It didn't jive with guitar in front of that Basie band. Maybe that's just my head.
I'm going to call him and tell him you said that, Joe.
Please don't. I would go down to see him at the Blue Note with the Basie band, with him in front of it, and it's like, I'd love to hear him with his group, but in front of the Basie band, it was like a
maybe it wasn't
cognitive dissonance in my head.
Wasn't it the best pairing? But yeah, but Kenny Burrell is absolutely the great. It actually brings us up to another question here from where was that, Mr. Roush?
While you're looking, the reason I mentioned that is because this writing on the Mincer project, like supersedes that. It like works in this case. The way they did the writing.
Yeah, that's what's kind of cool about this project is you don't often see a guitar in front of a big band. So I'm playing the melodies and having almost like the featured horn player in front of a big band.
Right.
Alexander Rosh wants to know which guitarist influences you the most. Well, when I started playing, the guys that I listened to were of course Wes Montgomery, George Benson, Grant Green, Pat Martino. I mean, I just fell in love with the music, and but those four right there would be the tops, followed by Kenny Burrell and all those, all the greats. Once you get into it, you just start listening to the records, and you get hooked. And but yeah, for sure. The greats like Wes and Grant Green are up there.
I would have guessed Grant Green.
Yeah. Debbie said before COVID, Dave played in the Oranges. Yes, I did. I've been playing around here since I've been living out here for 27 years now. So I've played at Cecil's, played at Trumpets, Shanghai, everywhere. It's been great. Let's see, anything else? Jazak Lorelli, what is the most impactful transcription you have ever done? That's a good one. The transcription, what he's talking about is when you take a solo of one of the jazz players that you like, and you write out or you memorize their solo. It's kind of like how you learn this music is by learning. It's kind of how it's passed down. It's an oral tradition. For instance, Charlie Parker, if you consider that Louis Armstrong maybe was the look at him as the tree of jazz, the roots. He got it from King Oliver. Everybody got it from who came before them, and then you had Charlie Parker and Dizzy Gillespie. Of course, they had listened to who came before them, and then Coltrane came along, and he had listened to Parker and Charlie Parker, and then Joe Henderson listened to Coltrane. It's just it's an ongoing thing. So that's how we learn the music. And I know that Wes Montgomery said that he listened to Charlie Christian, one of the original guitar players. So I would say, Grant Green was very helpful for me when I was first getting into jazz to learn a couple of his solos and some of his lines, because they made sense to me, and Wes Montgomery as well. Just to hear how they would approach a song, or how they played over a certain chord change. Those two were big for me, and Pat Martino, because Pat Martino was super fiery, and coming from rock music, I heard when I heard Pat Martino, I said, "Wow, I want to do that." That he had that fire in his playing. So I would say Grant Green, Wes, Pat Martino, George Benson. I could keep going, but it's a great way to learn this music is transcribing, and everybody that studies with me has to do it.
Carmen asked earlier, and I think we skipped over, is there any place you haven't traveled to where you would like to perform? If yes, why? And what is one place abroad where you performed that you loved, and why?
Well,
there's a follow-up question within a follow-up question.
One of the great things about this music have been able to see the world. I've traveled to Japan many times, starting back in the 80s and 90s, and they were great jazz audiences there. I've been all over Europe. I love Italy, France. It's one of the beautiful things. I've been everywhere. I've been to Greece. Where I haven't been to China yet. I haven't been to Russia. I'm not exactly sure that's any place I really want to go necessarily, but a lot of people are traveling there, or they were anyway. And I haven't been to Australia, but I have been to Jakarta, which is, if you look at the map, they're right next to each other. That might be the farthest I ever went for a gig, was Jakarta Jazz Festival, Java Jazz Festival. But that's one of the great things about playing this music, is that you're able to travel and hopefully sometimes do more than see the airport and the hotel and the gig and then back to the airport the next day. If you plan it right, you can sometimes get to see a lot of stuff. It's great. I'm very grateful for all the great experiences I've had playing music with some of these greats like Jack McDuff and Stanley Turrentine, and and the travel part of it, and it's been a wonderful wonderful thing to get to experience, only because of music, and starting with listening to those records and figuring out what they were doing.
Zach says he was in your ensemble at Litchfield at one point. Zach, by the way, is our education coordinator for the Jazz Arts Academy.
Uh-huh.
So apparently,
Hi,
Zach Lorelli was in your
All right.
As a drummer, I suppose, Zach.
Yeah, and I remember you. I'm looking for you on here now. Is he on here, or is he?
He's here somewhere. There he is.
I see Eric.
Zach, show yourself.
Hey, what's up?
Hi, there he is. How you doing? All right. Yeah. So I do want to say that earlier I was joking when you asked about my friends Bruce Williams and Brandon. Of course, those guys are longtime friends of mine and some of the best musicians out there. So
monster players.
It's been that's one of the beautiful things about music is you're meeting not just great players but great people.
Yeah, all over the world, in fact.
Yeah.
Which leads me to the fact that Bruce Williams will be our guest next week on Mondays with Mooch.
There you go.
There you go. Our audience is familiar with Bruce. He's been on many of our shows, and the big band at the Basie, and one of our principal instructors at the Jazz Arts Academy.
Right.
So Bruce will be here next week. That'll be fun. And Dave, I wanted to thank you so much for doing this for us. It was very entertaining, and we got to hear you play live, which is a real treat for everyone, I'm sure.
Well, thank you for inviting me, Carmen and Joe, and thank you, Joe, for all you're doing. Keeping the music going with teaching our young people about jazz. It's a noble thing to do, and I'm happy to be here, and I look forward to coming down and playing for you when this all settles down a little bit.
Well, I can tell you honestly that when this does settle down, we will have you down here for sure at one of our events. We'll work on that, and I'm hoping sooner rather than later.
All right, that sounds like a plan.
So, Dave, I want to thank you so much for joining us tonight, and I want to let you know I have a little secret. I bought this like years ago, probably 15 years ago.
Oh boy.
I don't know how to play this thing, but I'm considering looking at one of your sessions are in the Artist Works.
Yeah, Artist Works is that's my online teaching.
Can we put those links up for David once more? There's an online teaching link, and I think there's a website link also.
Yeah, DaveStryker.com, ArtistWorks.com is the teaching website.
Will that help me with my acoustic guitar?
It will.
I pulled it out. I've had it for so long.
Carmen, and I think I'll have you playing like George Benson within 2 or 3 days.
Oh, that would be 2 or 3 days.
Yeah,
I'll be signing up quick then.
All right.
Oh boy,
I'll come back and test it out here on Mondays with Mooch, and we'll get the feedback.
You're going to get a lot of calls for that, Dave.
Different George Benson, not the one you're thinking of.
Oh, okay. Different George Benson.
Well, thanks so much once again, Dave. It's real pleasure, and hope to see you again real soon. And we will definitely have you down here at some point. And to everyone else, thank you guys for showing up, because without you, it'd be me and Dave having a conversation. And although that could be fun, it's not as fun as having all you with us to join us and appreciate.
Thanks everybody for joining in, and look forward to seeing you. Stay safe, and see you, hopefully in the future.
There you go. Absolutely.
All right.
And thanks for all of you who have donated to the organization, and especially to Ocean First Foundation, who are continuing presenting partners. So thanks once again. And again, we, as usual, we have an after gig hang for a little bit. If anybody wants to hang and chat a little bit, we extend it a little bit. But I will be officially closing down the official meeting thanks once again, guys, as of now.
All right, take care.